like I do, or knows how to set things up. But it's not that hard to really set up a studio where you could make audiobooks, and people need to learn that.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, we're going to try and solve some of your home studio problems tonight, and we've got a very special guest tonight, as we do every Sunday afternoon or evening or morning, depending on what part of the world you're in. Marc Cashman, one of the top coaches in L.A., who's going to talk to us about how to audition in your home studio, because I think that's something that most of us have a real problem with. It's great being in studio, in a bigger recording studio where there's the director or the creative director or the producer saying, hey, I want it this way, hey, I want it that way. Marc's a great director, but he's going to teach you, or at least give you some tips on how to be better at self-directing yourself, because that's really what's going to help you get, book more jobs in auditions. So anyway, I think we got our first caller on, though, don't we?
We sure do.
All right. It's East West Audio Body Shop. Who's calling? Somebody's there.
Hey, guys. This is Dave DeAndrea.
Hey, Dave. Where are you calling from?
From the not-so-sunny Southern Oregon coast.
Okay,
Oregon
just to
coast.
prepare you guys, there's a really long delay between Dan and Dave. So
okay.
make sure we don't step on each other too much with that. And Dave, you're listening to Skype, not the show feed off the web, right?
No, I'm listening on the show feed, actually.
That would explain.
That's why. Don't watch the show.
Yeah, you can have the show on, but mute it. You got to listen to Skype because your delay is tremendous.
All right, so now you should be able to hear us better.
Well, let's see here.
Turn that knob down and that knob up.
This one over there, and then this one there.
Or slide that mouse slider thingy-majiggy down and slide that mouse slider thingy-majiggy.
Okay, now do you hear us in real time?
Barely. I must have some Skype volume issues here, but I'll work it out.
That's a little tighter. Okay,
a little bit tighter.
Very good. So anyway, aside from having a real problem with timing and delays, what's your problem and what can we help you with?
I've got a crackling knob issue. It's more of an annoyance, really, than any major problem. It doesn't affect my recording or editing or any of that, but to avoid a high-frequency sound card issue I was having, I invested in an M-Audio Fast Track Pro. It's been probably a couple of years ago. And the volume knob, which gets turned down and turned up depending on what I want to come through the speakers, it has developed quite a crackle, which can be worked out, if I keep cranking it back and forth after a bit, but then it just returns the next time I use it, and it's just kind of annoying.
Well, I hate to tell you,
demonstrate it for us?
Actually, yeah. Are you talking through it right now?
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
Holy crap!
Oh, well, and the winner for bad audio of the week is.
Holy cow!
Like I said, it's more of an annoyance. It doesn't. It's just when I adjust that. So I didn't know if there was some kind of lubricant that could work magic on that. I don't think the knob is designed to actually pull off to get in there and grease it up. So I'm not sure what to do.
You
with
said
it.
that's the monitor volume control to control the speaker volume.
Right.
Short of cracking it open and getting a can of stuff called what's that stuff called? Gold, something gold.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. There's a contact cleaner. You can get it at like an electronics store, and you might be able to handle it that way. Worst case scenario is you damage something and the thing is junked and you have to buy another one, but it doesn't owe you a dime. How long have you had that thing? 3 years?
It's been a couple of years, and I think I think it crackles at the place where it, at those little areas where it rests the most, like it just kind of got comfy there.
TV tuners used to do many years
doesn't
ago.
like moving, apparently.
Yeah. TV tuners have the same. So, I mean, crack it open. First, get some compressed air and blow it out and see if that helps. If that doesn't help, get the liquid contact cleaner and try spraying it in there. What the problem with the contact cleaner is, these knobs have this stuff called, they have a grease. There's like stuff in there to make the knobs kind of feel fluid and not super slippery. I don't know how to describe it. It gives the knob some weight so that when you turn it, it doesn't feel like it wants to spin. it's sort of like a grease that's in there. When you spray these contact cleaners in there, oftentimes that stuff gets flushed out at the same time, so the knob may never feel the same. But at least as long as it won't make that horrible noise,
Right. Yeah, it's just a monitor knob anyway, so.
Yeah, you could always get you can control your monitors from a different location, but by the time you invest in some other gadget to do that job, maybe it's time to just retire it and put it into your closet as your backup audio interface.
Yeah. In an
Is
emergency.
there another piece of equipment that's sort of equivalent to this that may cost a little more, but may have a little longer
PC or Mac?
life than this? What's that?
PC
or Mac?
PC.
Anything.
I would say, well, yeah, anything but Apogee, obviously.
Yeah.
I would
say MicPort Pro usually works great.
Yeah, I mean, anything that you use that much that gets worn out, you want something that's going to handle that. Yeah, MicPort Pro may not be the best choice because of that.
PreSonus audio box, although we're having all sorts of interesting issues with those in Windows 7. I figure they're going to get the driver problems with that sorted out eventually.
Someday.
Someday.
You could also, I would say, go with Mike Summers in the chat room. He said use Deoxit D5. Deoxit Fader Lube F5 or Deoxit Gold. A couple of people.
Deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxit
Gold is the stuff I was thinking of, but Summers saying get Deoxit D5. You could Google that. So yeah, if that works, then go with it. If not, then an upgrade to that unit that is probably got better quality knobs and everything else. Oh, to do much better than that, you have to spend a lot more money. So
the Fast Track is like is that like the Fast Track Pro, or is this the little tiny Fast Track that
Fast Track Pro?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's not a bad unit. But
no, that's one of the better ones. Are you using the mic preamps in it too, or do you have a lot of other gear?
I'm mostly going through the board. That's just again kind of to bypass the internal sound card there.
Right.
Oh, so you have a mixer?
Yes.
So why aren't you using the mixer to control your monitor speakers?
That's a good question.
Okay. That's an excellent question.
That would be another option.
Out from there, you should be able to use that.
What kind of mixer is it?
It's a Mackie.
That's all you need to say. So if it's a Mackie,
Pro.
all you got to do is bring it back into another channel on the Mackie, and then mute the Mackie channel that it's coming back into, so you don't get feedback loops.
Okay.
And then hit the Alt 3-4 button on the control room section of the board, and wham, you've got a kind of a loopback set up now where you can control your playback through your Mackie board through your control room speaker volume control, which is also your headphone control.
Okay. I think what had happened was I had this little Behringer board that I needed to get a phone patch working through, but it didn't have the AB option there, and so I had to install this other Mackie board, and again, this other issue was an annoyance more than a real issue with recording or anything. So I just kind of connected the Mackie up just like I have the Behringer board, but
right.
So I didn't even think to really bypass this thing altogether. So
that'd be another way to do it. Just find a point on the pot on the Fast Track that's clean, leave it there, and then take it out into the Mackie, and then just use the Mackie's control room outputs for your speakers. Now, I will warn you, it could create a new issue, which is now every time you want to turn up your speakers, you have to turn off your microphone, or you'll get feedback.
Right.
So
it's like being on radio.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm used to that. All right.
Okay.
Right.
So, but that would help. That would work.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks,
Anything
Dave.
else? You good?
Sure. Who played Lumpy on Leave It to Beaver? Can you answer that one?
Darn.
Nope.
I
No
used to
Googling.
know that one, too.
No Googling. Google is my other brain.
Yeah.
My
No,
more
have a good night,
impressive
you
one.
guys. Thanks.
Thanks a lot
All
for
right,
being
thanks,
on the show.
Dave.
All right.
All right. Well, hopefully we solved that one. Do we have another caller for this segment, George?
Doesn't look like it. Let's kill a little time, and then we can give a little more time to our next caller, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm really wondering what our next caller is going to come up with. Well, we've got more stuff coming up. We've got our special guest, Marc Cashman, will be with us in a couple of minutes. So stay tuned for that. And about the bottom of the hour, we've got another caller coming. I also want to talk a little bit more about the iPad, because it took me about a week to actually find all those apps on my iPad, show you where they are. But there was a very interesting thing that I saw this week that was sent to me by Epigee, that they've got, they're developing a microphone. It's not out yet, but they're developing a microphone that'll work with the iPad.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very interested to see what that's like.
Yeah, I hope that happens.
Well, I mean, they've got, it's called Mic. They came up with a really sophisticated name for it. You know,
nobody took it. Nobody else took it, I guess.
Hey, nobody used that one. So let's use Mike.
You imagine the guys in the boardroom. You mean nobody took Mike? M-I-K-E? Really? Okay.
No, it's M-I-C.
Oh, it's M-I-C. That's even better.
So, you know, that could be a real revolutionary thing because Epigee makes great stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's that microphone that they put on the One is actually a pretty good little microphone for a little condenser microphone. But they say it's not just a little tiny condenser microphone. It's actually, you know, good enough to actually do voice work. And so I'm very interested. You know, that might be all you need to take on the road with you if you're a Mac person. But if they've got this microphone now that's a true studio condenser microphone that just plugs into your iPad, then you really got something.
Yeah. What I understand is that it's going to basically, the theory behind it is theoretically what it should do is have a battery inside. And you charge it when you're at home. And then when you're using it with the iPad, it'll run off that internal battery to power electronics since the iPad doesn't provide the power anymore.
Right.
That's my guess, but we'll see.
Right. And with the iPad too, you can multitask. So you can look at one program while you're recording on the other. So you can actually have your script in front of you and just sort of hold it for you. I mean, it would be, you know, having my iPad right here, just have your mic and you've got it right there. You can't beat that. I mean, and if it's, you know, I mean, that's going to be like a total studio fix.
Totally.
Anyway, we got another caller coming up in a couple of minutes. And as we said, Marc Cashman coming up at the bottom of the hour, talking a little bit about how to audition at home. So stay right where you are. We'll be right back here on East West.
This is a microphone, and 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 even this is a microphone. End the confusion on Monday, April 25th as the Home Studio Master and VoiceOver Extra, your online news and resource center, present Microphone Choice and Best Techniques, the webinar. Learn about the different types of microphones and which one is best for you. Learn how to set up your microphone and learn about the best microphone techniques for best performance. Then hear live demos during our big mic shootout. Lots of time for Q&A and you'll receive a full recording. For more information and to register, go to voiceoverextra.com. Don't miss it.
And we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop. I'm Dan Lenard here in Buffalo. And George, where are you hanging out?
I'm in my lovely new rental home in Santa Monica, and very happy here.
I can't wait to come out there in late December and spend my Hanukkah in Santa Monica.
You should, man. It's the place to do it.
I may actually get the chance this year. Who knows? Well, actually, I think we're talking about going to the Dominican Republic instead. But, it's a little cheaper going there.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you were just listening to that commercial, I was going to ask you this question, George. The audio quality on that was just dandy.
Yeah.
What microphone did I use to record that commercial with?
Well, I'd say the obvious would be your TLM 103 because that's your best
think
mic.
that was actually done. For those of you who poo-poo this as a podcast mic, that was done with an AT2020 USB mic. So
wow.
just to show you that you can do all sorts of great stuff with that. I was able to produce that commercial, on a MacBook using just the AT2020 and and all the visuals that I used with that. And as you can hear, it sounds broadcast quality. So all these guys saying, "Oh, you got to have this $10,000, Telefunken mic," you can tell them where to go.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's like, the mic does a beautiful job. It's not the quietest mic. It has a little bit of a background noise hiss. But the thing is like 90% of the time, it depends on the work you're doing, right? But if you're doing commercials, anything that has a music bed underneath it, you'll never ever hear the little bit of background hiss. So, most of the time, that mic can do wonders. And for sure, it's a fantastic mic to have in your laptop bag, just in case.
That's right. And and it's simple. It just plugs right into your computer, and you go. And it's actually very good. And the thing about the background hiss that you're talking about, it usually is well below minus 50 dB. Yeah. So it's very easy to gate out.
Yeah, unless you're a very soft read.
Right.
Some people may be like, do a really soft kind of low level read.
I know that type of read. Yeah, I do those all the time.
If you're doing that a lot,
right? Yeah,
you're gonna have a trouble with a lot of mics having enough gain without hiss.
Right.
So that's something to watch out for too.
All righty. Well, I think it's time for our next caller, and I can't wait. Is he on?
I believe so.
Oh, good evening. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Who's calling?
Well, hello, gentlemen. How are you? This is Stan.
Hey, Stan. Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm from verdant Potomac, Maryland, having escaped the storms, but still enough to keep everything green.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
You gentlemen, may I say, you do a fine job and a great service for the voiceover community. Long may you wave, or long may you short wave. Sorry.
Thanks, Dan.
Bad audio of the week.
Is this thing on?
And now it's time for another exciting episode of Bad Audio of the Week.
Is this thing on?
And now it's time for another exciting episode of Bad Audio of the Week.
Is this thing on?
And now it's time for another exciting episode of Bad Audio of the Week.
Is this thing on?
And now it's time for another exciting episode of Bad Audio of the Week.
Make another mistake. Beep, beep, beep. You know that on the third one that you're going to be coming up to your right edit point, and you chop it from there to there, and that's how you get into it from there.
There's a problem on the stream.
There's a problem on the stream.
It keeps repeating the bad.
No, I hear you now. Thank you.
Oh, he fixed it. Once again, live TV.
Woohoo! Don't worry, guys. I'm recording this in the background on Twisted Wave, so I'll have a un-effed up version of the show on audio version that you guys can check out later. So you won't catch the beginning. You won't miss the beginning of this call if you listen to it back later.
Oh, okay, good. So for those of you who are, yeah, right. So going back, so we'll just go back. We'll start over with this whole segment and go, beep. and then we'll just edit it back. So.
Exactly. So, Stan, what was your question?
So, right. What's my name? Yes. Memory's the second thing to go, and I don't remember the first.
Okay. Well, we were talking about editing process.
Yes, yes, we were. And the point is, how do you set up your stream of specific steps in the procedure? For example, where do you do your equalization? Where do you do normalization?
Oh, okay.
Do you edit first and normalize later, etc.?
Yes, it depends. I mean, sometimes it's a little voice in my head that says, do it this way, do it that way. And that just comes with experience. But the general process that I use, and sometimes I think about it, I go, well, maybe I'll do it this way. I generally will, if I have to do any noise reduction or gating, I do that first. And I do everything in post, which is, I think, what most people need to learn to do, is not try to compress everything up front using a DBX or a Symmetrix or something along those lines. And then take out any background noise you have. Try to eliminate your noise floor. If it's under minus 50 dB, very easy to do using a noise gate. Then I usually edit down from there and get to my final product from there, at least the final version of how I want it to sound lengthwise. Then I'll usually do some compression on it. And I use a couple of different compression settings that I have in Sound Booth, some presets that I also adjust a little bit. So then I do the compression, raise up the volume. A lot of people call it normalizing. I generally don't normalize. I manually raise the overall volume to about below -3, so like between -6 and -3. So it's not even in danger of clipping anywhere, and that's easy for the end user to use and amplify as they need. Then I will listen to it again, and when you amplify things, obviously you amplify some other problems that might crop up in there. A mouth click, or somebody talking in the background, that sort of thing. And then you can take that stuff out then. And then that's really all you should do. There really isn't a whole lot you have to do except get out the extraneous noise and edit properly and use a little bit of compression. But you got to learn how to use the compression right and learn the right preset that makes you sound good. Not full, but just a little bit more present. What do you say, George?
Yeah, when I set up presets and filter settings for people that want to do their own voiceover production or do auditions that sound produced, which is getting more and more to be a requirement, it seems, these days. I often will set up some compression, some gating, maybe a little EQ, a bass roll off to take the rumble and bass rumble out of your room, which is a pretty common issue. And generally the sequence of doing all those filters that I do is I always do the EQ first. Then I do the I do the EQ first usually. Then I do the gating and the compression. Or sometimes one of the filters I use in Twist-A-Wave is gating and compression in one filter, and then maybe, if necessary, normalizing at the end. But I try to do it so that none of those things sound like the result has to be so that nobody notices that you did a thing to the file. Right. The key to all these effects being used properly is that nobody knows you're using them, which is the irony of it all. It's not like special effects in a movie. Well, yeah, think of it as a special effect in a feature film that they spent millions of dollars to do that doesn't look like a special effect at all. Right. There's a lot of movies these days that are like super high budget romantic comedies or epic stories about history, and there's hundreds of effect shots in those movies, hundreds sometimes, but you don't know they're there. They're done so well, they're so transparent, you can't see them, you don't know, you don't think about it. It's the suspension of belief or disbelief, is that what it is?
Right. And that's why they cost millions of dollars.
Yeah, so when you do audio effects in voiceover, unless the point is to bring attention to the effect, like a reverb, the real point is that you just want your voice to be more present, the volume to be brought up to a hotter level so that when it's being played alongside other material, it kind of stands out. But, I only recommend doing these things in an audition, really in an audition. For doing the actual job, you're going to let a producer handle how your voice is mixed in. In fact, a lot of people will tell you to turn all that stuff off. So your mileage may vary, and it really depends on the client you're working with.
Now, what's the second part of your question was about removing clicks, right, Stan?
Thanks. Yeah, well, it was, and thank you both for that. That was remarkably clear and orderly. Dan, it was really illuminating to hear you advocate a while back using the spectral frequency display in audio editing software to excise unwanted audio artifacts from a file you're editing, like mouth clicks. Mm-hmm. I think you illustrated it using Adobe Sound Booth because you can show both waveform and spectral displays. Right. But I think you said there are similar capabilities in other software as well, and it seemed to make it so much easier to whisk away things like, well, as you said a moment ago, mouth clicks. Right. And George, you recently posted a name of a software program you found to do that kind of focused cleanup expeditiously.
Oh, the anti-click.
Could you review those, please?
Okay. Well, we got a few minutes left. I can't remember the name of the program right now. Actually, I have it on my dock right here someplace.
Yeah. Well, we'll post the link for that on our website in case anybody wants to try that. Actually, you put it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, it's on the Facebook page. Click Repair.
It's on the Facebook page.
Click Repair was the one I had mentioned.
Yeah, I've been using it. It works. It actually works.
Awesome.
I was very impressed with it. And with someone with as noisy a mouth as me, for a number of reasons, it actually does work, and the controls on it are very, very simple. So I've got it on the 20-day trial. I think I'll probably buy it before then. It's like $29 or something along those lines. Boy, talk about a time saver for something like that. Try editing all that out of an entire chapter of a long book. And I can't wait to try that on the chapter of the book I'm working on right now. But with the spectrograph, not only is it in Sound Booth, it also is in Adobe Audition. And I just got the Adobe Audition beta for Mac that I wanted to try. It's much more similar to Sound Booth than it used to be. There are rumors, but I think it's from people who hate Sound Booth, that what Adobe's going to do is they're just going to replace Sound Booth with Adobe Audition 3. But the workflow on it is just slightly different. The same the key shortcuts aren't quite the same, so it's a little disconcerting until you learn how to use it. But with the spectrogram, you actually get to see where a mouth click is or an extraneous noise that you want to get rid of. In the spectrogram, it's clear to see that it's an anomaly versus what your voice normally sounds like. And you just highlight it and either reduce the volume on it or hit auto heal, and it goes away. And it's a great little program, and it's made tremendous difference in the quality of the stuff that I can put out. And other people who I've recommended it to have said, boy, that's absolutely amazing. It's like taking an eraser and taking out those little annoying noises in there.
Well, thank you both. I mean, really appreciate that, Dan. Again, that really clarifies it for me. Thanks to both of you. You both do a terrific amount of stuff with this show, and really behind it, you're doing a lot to democratize this field. And we, as they say, oh yeah, big time. Thanks again.
Oh, our pleasure.
Thanks, Dan.
We are here to do that.
That's the simplest I've ever heard you say anything.
You must be a writer.
I'm out of here.
Take care, man.
Thanks.
All righty. All right. Well, we've got our special guest, Marc Cashman, coming up in just a minute or two, so stay tuned for that. And also, Bad Audio of the Week is coming up in a little while, so stay tuned also. You're listening and watching, hopefully, to East West Audio Body Shop. We'll be right back after this.